The Battle of Antietam, which took place on September 17, 1862, was one of the largest and most significant battles of the American Civil War, marking a turning point in the strategies of both sides. After months of advancing into Northern Territory, General Robert E. Lee of the Confederate forces decided to move his army into Maryland, hoping to create a significant impact that would earn support from European nations. At the same time, he sought to pressure President Abraham Lincoln and the Union Army into negotiating for peace. However, Lee's plans were compromised when a Union officer discovered a lost Confederate order, revealing the Southern Army's intentions. This intelligence led Union forces, under the command of General George B. McClellan, to quickly organize an attack on the Confederate forces at Antietam Creek. Near Sharpsburg, Maryland, the Union Army was led by George B. McClellan, known for his caution and overcarefulness. McClellan commanded a strong force of 87,000 soldiers, consisting of infantry, artillery, and cavalry units, all well-equipped for battle. On the other side, General Robert E. Lee led the Confederate Army with only 38,000 soldiers, far fewer than their opponents. However, the Confederate forces had the advantages of morale and tactical experience. With many seasoned fighters, prominent Confederate commanders included Stonewall Jackson, James Longstreet, and A.P. Hill, all of whom had contributed to previous Southern victories. The Battle of Antietam unfolded in three main phases, with the Union forces launching attacks throughout the morning, noon, and afternoon, targeting key Confederate positions. The battle began at dawn on September 17, 1862, with the Union Army launching an assault on the Confederate right flank along the cornfield. Union General Joseph Hooker led a strong offensive against Confederate forces commanded by General Jackson. Continuous waves of attacks and counterattacks turned the cornfield into a scene of carnage, with both sides suffering heavy losses in what became a bloody, fierce fight for control. The Union initially held the advantage but encountered fierce resistance from the well-positioned Confederate forces. The cornfield quickly became the fiercest battleground, with thousands of soldiers falling in just a few hours. After being stalled at the cornfield, McClellan shifted his focus to the center of Lee's defensive line, specifically the Sunken Road, a sunken path between hills. Under the command of Generals William French and Israel Richardson, the Union forces pressed the Confederates into a defensive position. The Sunken Road soon became known as Bloody Lane, as the Union's continued assaults overwhelmed the Confederate defenders. Despite determined resistance, the Southern forces were eventually forced to retreat, leaving thousands of dead bodies strewn along the road. In the afternoon, the Union launched its final assault on the Confederate left flank along Antietam Creek. At a narrow stone bridge, later named Burnside Bridge after General Ambrose Burnside, Burnside's men spent several hours attempting to cross the bridge under heavy Confederate fire from the heights. By late afternoon, Burnside's forces finally crossed the bridge and seemed poised to strike the weakened Confederate forces. However, General A.P. Hill and his reinforcements suddenly arrived from Harper's Ferry, attacking Burnside's flank and forcing his troops to retreat, thus saving the Confederate Army in the final hours. The Battle of Antietam concluded on September 17th with over 23,000 soldiers killed, wounded, or missing from both sides, making it the bloodiest single day in American history. Although the Union had the numerical advantage and gained control of the battlefield, McClellan failed to capitalize on the opportunity to destroy Lee's army. The Confederate forces, despite heavy losses, managed to retreat safely back to Virginia. Union McClellan was criticized for his excessive caution. Despite having vital intelligence and overwhelming numbers, he remained indecisive and missed the opportunity to encircle and annihilate Lee's army. Confederacy. Lee demonstrated exceptional strategic skill by effectively using the terrain and coordinating his defensive forces, despite being heavily outnumbered. However, his invasion of the North did not achieve the desired outcome. The Battle of Antietam was a strategic victory for the Union, as it halted Lee's advance into the North and provided President Lincoln with the opportunity to issue the Emancipation Proclamation. However, it was not a decisive victory. Both sides learned important lessons from this battle, and the Civil War would continue for another 3 years. The final question is, was McClellan's caution the reason the war dragged on? What are your thoughts on this battle and the strategies of both sides? Let us know your opinion in the comment section of this video. And if you found this content interesting, don't forget to take a few seconds to hit the subscribe button to get notified about our next videos. For now, goodbye and see you next time.